I was still wearing his hoodie when I crossed the line for the first time. It was a gray Tuesday, the kind where nothing feels real, the kind where your life starts breaking apart quietly, not with thunder or lightning, just a slow crack beneath the surface. Ben had kissed me on the forehead before leaving, told me he'd handle dinner, pick up the kids, even do bath time. He said, "You need rest." "I've got it," he smiled. An hour later, I was in someone else's apartment. Windows shut, doors locked, curtains drawn. I shouldn't have been there. But I was. His name was Jake. He was wrong for me in every possible way. And maybe that's exactly why I did it. With Ben, everything was structure, routine, grocery lists, calendars, weekend plans. With Jake, it was chaos. Heat, something unsaid pulling us forward. No filter, no pause. We didn't talk much that first time. We didn't need to. It was all glances, breathing, that electric space between two people who know they shouldn't, and still do. And I let it happen. All of it. You'd think I'd feel guilty. I didn't. Not that day. I felt awake. I remember walking home afterward, looking up at the sky like it was suddenly in color. Everything was sharper, louder. Even the guilt, it didn't come right away. It waited. It was polite. Ben was already home when I got back. The kids were laughing in the living room. Dinner was warm. He hugged me like nothing had changed. And I smiled. I kissed him on the cheek. Told him, "Thank you for today." He had no idea. Or at least that's what I told myself. The second time, I told Ben I had a late meeting. There was no meeting. There was Jake, and a couch that creaked, and my phone buzzing from Ben's message. "Don't forget to eat something." I looked at that message while someone else was holding me, and I answered with a heart emoji. I had no shame. Not then. In fact, the line became part of the thrill. I started planning around it. Tuesdays, Thursdays, sometimes even lunch breaks. I wore perfume again, changed the way I dressed, told myself it was self-care. But deep down I knew it was for him, for the one who wasn't mine. I told myself 1,000 things to justify it. I'm tired. I'm not seen. I'm more than just a mom, a wife, a calendar. Maybe all of that was true, but it still doesn't excuse what I did. Because while I was out pretending I was someone else, Ben was home, packing school lunches, ironing shirts, sending me memes, still believing in me. And that's the part one can't forgive myself for. You want to know what haunts me most? It wasn't the sneaking around. It wasn't the excuses. It wasn't even the fear of getting caught. It was how easy it became to lie. By the third or fourth time, it didn't even sting. I could look Ben in the eye and say, "Everything's fine." And I believe it just for a second, because the truth is, I didn't feel like I was cheating. I felt like I was surviving. Ben didn't question me. He didn't snoop. He didn't accuse. He just kept being good. Too good. I started to think I could do this forever. 2 lives. 2 stories. No consequences. But I was wrong. So wrong. It didn't stop after the first few times. It grew like a weed. Slow. Steady. Silent. I told myself I was in control. You're being smart. Careful. No one's getting hurt. But I was lying. To Ben. To Jake. To myself. Jake started texting me at night, while Ben brushed his teeth in the bathroom. I'd be under the covers, reading messages I had no business reading. Sometimes just one word. Craving. Sometimes a photo. Not explicit. Just a hand. A wrist. A look. It wasn't about love. It was about hunger. And I fed it every time. I told Ben I was working on a side project. Said I needed space. Quiet. Time alone. He respected it. Of course he did. He started leaving the house early on Saturdays, so I could focus. Sometimes he'd take the kids for the whole day, and the moment they left, I'd be out the door. Jake and I stopped hiding in cars. We booked rooms. Cheap ones at first. Then nicer. The kind with clean white sheets. And mirrors that made everything feel like a dream. Or a movie you shouldn't be watching. He liked taking control. I liked giving it up. There were times I'd leave those rooms with bruises on my hips, lipstick smudged in places it shouldn't be, and I'd drive straight to the grocery store, pick up milk, smile at the cashier, go home like nothing happened, like I hadn't just betrayed the man who trusted me most. Ben was still kind. He'd fold my laundry without asking. He noticed small things. When I was tired, when my phone died, and he left a charger in my purse without a word. He was never suspicious. Or maybe he just didn't show it. That made it worse. Because with every kind gesture, I felt like I was getting away with it. I felt untouchable. Invisible. Jake started asking questions. What would you do if he found out? Would you leave him? Do you ever think about us for real? I never gave him straight answers. Because I didn't want real with him. I just wanted the escape, the rush, the feeling of being wanted, like oxygen. Jake didn't love me, but he liked what I gave him. Attention, danger, fantasy. I was a secret, and that made him feel important. He never said it, but I knew, and I used it. There was one night I'll never forget. Ben had made dinner. Candlelight, real music, wine, no occasion, just us. The kids were at their grandparents'. He even wrote a little card, still choosing you every day. I smiled. I kissed him. But inside, I felt hollow. Because earlier that same afternoon, I'd been in Jake's bed, still wearing the earrings Ben gave me for our anniversary. I started losing track of my own lies. What excuse I gave last week. What story I told Jake versus Ben. Which dress I wore where. One day, I called Ben by the wrong name in a text. He laughed, thought it was autocorrect. I laughed too, but in my chest, panic, for the first time, I realized I was slipping. And yet, I didn't stop. I couldn't, because somewhere along the way, the affair became my identity. Without it, I felt like nothing, invisible, unseen, just a background character in everyone else's life. But with Jake, I felt sharp, desired, dangerous. It was poison, and I drank it willingly. One morning, I came home earlier than planned. Ben was in the kitchen, making pancakes for the kids. He turned, smiled, and kissed me like nothing was wrong. But something about his eyes, they looked too calm, too steady. And for the first time, I had a thought I couldn't shake. What if he knows? Everything started getting messy. It used to be simple. Stolen hours, quiet rooms, fast exits. But then Jake got bold, and I got careless. There was this one night, a Thursday. Jake and I had been meeting at a motel just outside town. Routine, familiar. But that day, I stayed too long. We'd lost track of time. I wasn't thinking straight. My phone was on silent. When I finally turned it over, there were 9 missed calls from Ben, 3 from the house phone, 6 from his mobile, and a text. Where are you? Max fell. He might need stitches. We're at urgent care. My stomach dropped. I flew out of that motel like I was on fire. Hair a mess. Shirt wrinkled. Smudged eyeliner. I didn't even look in the mirror. Just grabbed my bag and keys. And ran. Jake said something behind me. I didn't hear it. I didn't care. All I could think was, please let me get away with this just one more time. I made it to the clinic in under 20 minutes. Ben was sitting in the waiting room, holding Max, who had a bandage above his eyebrow. The moment I walked in, story to be continued. He looked at me and I knew he saw it. My face, my hair, the smell of unfamiliar cologne, the wrong shoes on the wrong day. But he didn't say a word. He just smiled that quiet, unreadable smile and said, You made it. He's okay now. He passed me Max, and I held my son in shaking arms, trying not to fall apart. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept waiting for Ben to bring it up, to confront me, to say something. But he didn't. He made tea, rubbed my back, and said, You've been distant lately. Are you okay? I wanted to scream. I wanted to confess, or maybe just collapse. But instead, I said, Work's been a lot. I'm just tired. He nodded, and that was it. From that moment on, I stopped feeling powerful. I started feeling watched. Paranoia crept in. I began checking my phone like a criminal, deleting messages, turning off location, creating fake appointments on my calendar. Jake noticed. He asked why I seemed nervous. I told him he's been more attentive lately. Jake laughed and said, maybe he knows. Maybe he likes the idea of it. I didn't laugh. Then came the photo. I was with Jake at a little cafe outside town. We sat outside, thinking it was safe. Midday, empty street. The next day, Ben sent me a picture on my phone. It was me sitting across from Jake, laughing, reaching across the table. No caption, no question, just the image. My heart nearly stopped. I stared at the screen for what felt like hours, then typed, "That's not what it looks like." He replied, "Didn't say it was." And that was it. No accusations, no confrontation, just silence. That scared me more than yelling ever could, because now I knew he knew, and he was doing something worse than exploding. He was waiting. After that, things with Jake got colder, more mechanical. He was never supposed to be permanent. But now, I couldn't figure out how to end it. I didn't want him, but I didn't want to stop either. I was trapped in something I created, something that once gave me freedom. Now it felt like a cage. Ben stopped texting as often. He stopped leaving notes, stopped reaching for me in bed, but he still smiled, still made breakfast, still said, "Love you," every morning. And that calm, that terrifying, quiet calm, made me realize he wasn't pretending anymore. He was planning. One morning I woke up, and the house was quiet. Too quiet. I went to the kitchen. No Ben. No kids. No car in the driveway. I checked my phone. No texts. I called straight to voicemail. On the table was a note. Just 3 words. "I know everything." The note sat on the table for hours. "I know everything." 3 words. Not angry. Not dramatic. Just final. I stood there staring at it, thinking maybe this was some kind of joke, a warning, a test, something I could still fix. But the silence in the house said otherwise. His closet, empty. The kids' clothes gone. Passports vanished. The safe box on the bed where we kept cash, wide open. Nothing inside. I ran from room to room like a storm, calling his name, dialing his number, straight to voicemail. Again and again. I opened the drawer where we kept family photos. Gone. All of them. I didn't cry. Not yet. I just sat down on the cold kitchen tile in the silence he left behind. And finally I understood. He didn't just find out. He didn't just know. He watched me lie. Watched me walk in late. Fake phone calls. Fake work meetings. He heard the excuses. The invented stress. The fake girls' nights. And he said nothing, because he was already leaving. He let me keep going. That's the part that gets me still. He let me sleep beside him while he packed his bags in his mind. Let me tuck our kids into bed, kiss their foreheads while he planned a life without me. He let me cheat, not because he didn't care, but because he was already gone. He didn't scream. He didn't destroy anything. He didn't post about it, didn't shame me, didn't even take revenge. He just disappeared, silently, brilliantly, completely. I tried to find him, called his parents, no answer. His sister blocked me. His job wouldn't even confirm if he still worked there. And the kids? He'd filed papers already. Temporary custody. Claimed emotional instability on my part. Brought screenshots, timelines, GPS records. It was airtight. All those nights I thought I was being careful. He was watching, collecting, preparing. The judge didn't even look at me. Just signed the papers. Said I could file for supervised visits in 90 days if I showed improvement. What does improvement even mean? How do you improve from being the woman who destroyed her own family? People ask me now, do you regret it? They mean well, but it's the wrong question. Because regret implies a single choice. A moment. This wasn't one mistake. It was 1,000 small ones. Daily ones. A slow erosion of everything I used to be. I didn't just lose a husband. I lost the only person who ever truly saw me. And you know what's worse? He saw me and still loved me until he couldn't anymore. I thought I was winning, thought I was in control. But the truth is simple. I betrayed him and he outplayed me. And now I talk to a camera in a quiet apartment with no voices, no laughter, no life, because the man I hurt didn't punish me. He did something much worse.